Okay, next up our speaker, Edgar Kiwiet. Edgar has an enormous amount of experience in the combination of business, e-commerce, internet, IT, and Olivier talked about the general things. Okay, so what is low code? What is no code? Edgar is going to take you a little bit more. Okay, what does it mean? So if we go into the low code, no code business or area, what happens then? So give a big hand for Edgar.
Thank you. So that's the question: to code or not to code. There is this new thing in town, low code, no code, and it has a lot of promises. It's more agile, it costs less, your productivity goes up, and you can change stuff on the fly. So who wouldn't sign up for that? Who wants to sign up for that? It's not bad, eh? But I'm a bit skeptical. I live in a city called Haarlem, and we already have this solution. It's called Haarlem Oil, and it fixes all problems since 1600 something. So we are in the business of software engineering, and we spotted this trend, and it is a promising trend. Forrester, Gartner, they have recognized it as one of the things that will change the industry. But we picked it up too, 2011, so we've been tracking them for a while. And yes, sometimes it's good. But sometimes it's not suitable at all, whatever they say or whatever they try to sell. And sometimes it depends. So I'll try to explain when it's good, when it's not suitable, and when you should consider this. I work at a company called Innovation Kite, and we have a new way where we connect design thinking, that's an industrial design way of thinking about modeling things that people like to use, with software engineering. These two worlds are very disconnected, often still, even though they think everything from the software world, they know design, and people from design, they think they know about software. Now we have low coding, so we don't need anyone anymore. Well, this combination we call kite thinking. Whoever wants to know more about kite thinking, welcome to talk to me afterwards. Most important thing is that design thinking part is that there is a focus on the people, the end users, in order to create the most effective application that everyone wants to use and that brings value. And for that, you need to use and generate ideas. You know these brainstorming sessions where you have all these things on the wall and everyone puts on their ideas. But ideation is a bit more. It's about trying to get to a solution that is useful. And it's usually a new business, new concept, something to add new value to the world. So innovation, you need ideation, but you also need execution. You need development power. So if you have great ideas and you cannot generate them, you have a problem. And this problem is rising in this part of the world, across the world. Like Olivier said, software is eating the world, but we have no developers to generate all that software. And this, you actually see, was my office. And okay, I cheated a bit. This is after working hours, but this is the reality now. Where are the programmers? And sometimes programmers are difficult to talk to. Also, if you come from communication field, I've been in companies like agency.com where we have creative people talk to technical people, and those conversations are always funny. You know, they don't. It's like cats and dogs. You know, they get the wrong ideas. They're not there So we're now on the marketeer side. Wouldn't this be great? You wouldn't need them at all. This is also me, 2011. You can see the similarities. But this was what we had to do to code websites. This was coding. And you only had a simple, flat screen. You just had a website that displayed text. I always call it like Word Perfect, whoever knows that. Just bold, unbold, etc. Now, life's easier. You have programs like WordPress, and it's all about drag and drop. This is all about what you see is what you get. And the thing is, wouldn't this be good if this would finally happen also for the back-end development? So the work of the programmer, you could do yourself. You just put Lego together. That is what we're talking about. This Gartner Magic Quadrant, and it just shows all the new players in this field. So it's emerging, and it's not like some people are just new. There's a lot of players in there. And in our company, we decided to track, trace, and partner with one of them in each quadrant. And Dutch ones, as mentioned before, Mendix, Betty Blocks. Mendix been around already for 10 years. We're working with them since 2011. Betty Blocks is younger, but they're niche, and they will be a challenger. So there is a lot going on there. And they promise a lot. Like I said, they promise better agility. You can use everything with visual engineering. You can build apps like in a click or a few clicks. You don't need developers. From a business perspective, they're expensive. For you guys, they might be difficult. So it has some advantages for some people in different parts of the company. You can produce more at the same pace, and you can change it quickly. Well, that's pretty good. I would still sign up for that. And you can do it yourself. Well, like I said, I've been in the industry for a while, and this, I kind of heard it before. I guess this will give you a hint. It has all these aspects. It's agile. You don't need a programmer. You can do it yourself. You can change it right away. So what's better? Well, there are some limitations still, because it's a single-user application. You cannot share it with people. You cannot put it on the web, not easily at least. Central IT department won't touch it. That's not IT. We're not going to save that, not service that. Spreadsheet logic is the first words I learned in my studies. It's easy to make a mistake that nobody notices until your company goes bankrupt. And it's not exactly, it's web-based. So it's not that easy. This is actually, I'm great at spreadsheets. I love them, but I've been a programmer. So I like programming still. And I make stuff like this. Worse, I get nice pictures like that. So I can build cool apps, but they're still single-use based. But I'm not sure you would like to change those spreadsheets I make. So what is about low coding? This is an example from Mendix. So instead of having those formulas, you actually have stuff anyone can understand that has some basic logical way of thinking. You have something that occurs, you make a decision, it's false or true. So it's the flowchart, for who knows the word flowchart. And it's easy like that. They're all similar, the low coding systems. This is Betty Blocks. So they have a similar way. So if you can do one low coding system, it's quite easy to do the other. But there is a catch. And this is one thing they don't tell you until you sign for the license. You need to know about data modeling. And I can tell you, I did a study 4 years of information technology, 1 year of database analysis a year after. It is an art. You need to know, you have to train a special way of thinking. And they say, oh, we'll teach them in 2 days. I would not take the word literally for that, and I would take some time to prepare for that part. But then again, I'm not here to slag no coding. I'm trying to put it into the right perspective so you know when you should use it, when you shouldn't use it. When you have pretty simple apps that you don't need to share with too many people, it's great. You could make a simple marketing event app using visitor data, wishes, which you'll get more about from Tazier, how you could take that. You could do a new offering on new data. You could try a new target group, say present this set of information, a new insurance package for a new company, for a new target group, see if it works. Digital marketing support tools, which you now do probably in other systems, you could use it. You could upgrade your Excel, make it web-based. There's stuff you could do with it, but there's stuff where you should not do it, and you don't need to do it. They tell you can build anything with low coding. In practice, that's true, but it makes no sense. A lot of those things, like a spreadsheet or a word processor, they have thousands of man-years in there, and because they sell it mass, you can have it for a low price. So if you want to build a spreadsheet in low coding and use thousands of hours, be my guest, but it's not so business efficient, I would say. The same goes with stuff scientifically. I wouldn't like to try and figure out a power plant or a chemical plant because it's predefined. It's scientific. You don't need to have an agile product. Same like an airplane. I said I don't want to trial error, see if I get a plane together. But, and this is between the twos, definitely yes, definitely no. If you have something where you don't exactly know what your target group would like or who they are, it makes sense. When you need to experiment, offer this, see if they like it. You can do A/B testing, see who likes more. It's a good thing. If you have a hunch or a hypothesis, you can do a business analysis for a year and then hope you got it right, or you can just go into the market, try, adjust, improve. If you need to have a time to market that's fast, and it doesn't matter if you just got it slightly off, so it's not an air traffic control system, but it could just be a new product, fine. And I wouldn't do mission-critical stuff. And one thing also they don't tell you, yes, you use less hours, but maybe they're expensive too, local people. Maybe you can offshore and do cheaper. And what they also don't tell you, the license fee are recurring. So if you make an application that you only use once, the recurring license makes it expensive. So it only makes sense when you want to do a lot of different ones. If you want to do one single app, I would suggest do open source. If you're going to say we're going to do a target, a line of new apps, good idea. So it is not the potion that solves every problem, but it is good when you want to interact with the user audience, to figure out needs, adjust, adapt quickly. When a quick time to market is important and you don't care so much that you have to pay license costs all the time, sometimes it doesn't matter. Getting in the market is more important. And if you have an order of things. And what we'll get to a bit later, don't start programming. No code doesn't mean cheap. So we'll get to that later. Tazy will talk more about that. There's also something called what we call zero code, and we'll also talk about that. So, many options. There's many limitations at the moment. And basically, if you would summarize what is low coding, what WordPress was to front end, presenting data online, is what low coding is to the back end, where you can offer business logic as well. So if you start with the promises, and we close with the promises, better agility, reduced cost, more productivity, easily changeable. Well, before you prototype, you'll need some database design know-how. Cost, yes. but also think about your total cost of ownership. Productivity. Well, we think you can better design think. We'll get to that later by Tazier. Before you do. Zero coding before low coding, no coding. They tell you it's not important. I can tell you this is a lot cheaper, more effective. And if you have a solution that doesn't change much over time, I would also leave it. So next is Tazier with zero coding. And later in the corner, we'll have our embedded developer, so you can actually see what it looks like. And then you can change it. So thank you very much. And if there's any questions, we have 5 more minutes.
Thank you very much. And we can have even more than 5 minutes if we want to. Questions to Edgar? Oh, yeah. I'm going to throw it.
Get out the spotlight.
Talking to the black.
Can you hear me? Okay, good.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can't see you, though. Yeah,
Two
there.
questions. I suppose one thing I miss is a little bit, when you use these low-code things, that's somebody else's interpretation of code, so you're a little bit limited in terms of the way you can engage with your customers, I suspect. Is that what you see as well?
Yes. What you see, you get the largest common denominator of ways to handle things. So you don't get the opportunity to really do stuff that's never done before. Yeah. And what you'll see is similar to my first WordPress websites. They all look the same. They use the same
exactly
template.
It. Yeah.
So
everything looks the same, so it doesn't stand out. Nothing pops anymore.
No, doesn't pop out. Doesn't pop out. Yeah. And I think that is one of the downside, which you can compensate though, because you can add a different front end. Like on a back-end CMS, you can use a good front end, also Betty blocks and Mendix. You can add your own front end. But that's a lot of customization, and that's a lot of not so no code.
Okay. A second question, if I can. Quick one.
Yeah.
Next to this trend, there's also a trend towards machine learning.
Right.
And when you want to work with machine learning, you do need to learn to code, I believe. You need to learn Python, or Swift is coming up, but there are languages like that that are needed. So maybe these two trends are at odds with each other?
They are different trends that intertwine. Also, if you look at Mendix, they use artificial intelligence algorithms to make you, well, they suggest certain ways of doing the model. They said, I sure don't want to do it like this. So I think they are reinforcing each other. And like I said, even though it has its downsides, there is a trend, and we have to watch out. It won't take over the market. It will be X% of the market, but it will be there to stay. So.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Can you throw the thing there?
About, you said in your story, it's probably not too wise to make a business-critical system using low or no code. Could you tell some examples of what challenges you face making such applications with these concepts?
Well, mission critical I define as that defines your business. If you don't have your software, you'll be gone. So if you own software, you usually want to own mission critical software. One mistake I made in the beginning was to think it was a code generator. So, okay, it makes me easy, it generates code, maybe it's not that beautiful, but then I can save it, it's mine. But what it actually is, it's a platform that you configure. You cannot look inside of it, it's a big black box. So the only thing you own is the configuration of that black box. So that's why I say, in that case, I wouldn't suggest you use a mission-critical system. Not because it's unreliable, but because you don't own it. You only own the configuration.
I have a general rule. If something is new, don't put it next to the most critical thing in your life. So, yeah, try it out with simple things that can break.
Yeah.
So, I think that's what as Edgar has said. Oh, excuse me. Yes, please.
Oop.
That was one of the accidents that we hoped for.
It's not on, I think.
Broken.
Or doet it? My name is Jennifer from Ecologic Universe, and I have a question. Last week, I read an article by HBR saying when employees are using software that IT hasn't approved, which is becoming a problem now, that people are building their own CRMs or just to find a temporary solution to, for example, increase revenue. What's your take on that with regard to no-code? So would no-code be a solution for people to build applications very quick without going to IT to develop it?
Yes, well, I think there the example is exactly with Excel. You know, if you can simulate it, there's a lot of stuff. You don't need to be an IT expert. You need a way of logic, but you still need to. The thing is, the advantage of low code. How would I believe that would be best? If you would make if you have a decentralized way of producing all your software in a company, you have the risk that it's not coherent, it doesn't match, you make redundancies. So if you make a backbone to your company, I would do that with the architect centrally, and he decides who could do something. Everyone could contribute, but I wouldn't decentralize important stuff. But experimenting stuff or stuff that only belongs to a department, you can do that easily. You know, if you say, if in marketing department, it's only affecting our marketing team, we have 5 people, this is what we want, build it.
Okay. Yeah. Yes.
I believe that Mendix and OutSystems also have capabilities to be extended by general programming languages.
Right.
And does that mean that all limitations are taken away, or are there still other limitations that will still stay in place, except for the license cost and et cetera?
Yeah, no, actually, that's one. There's a lot of things you can do. I limited the presentation not to talk about too many things, but when I think it's very strong, if you have, funny enough, it gives you flexibility to stay to standards, and I'll explain that. If you have an expensive ERP system, like say like an SAP, it's very expensive to change because you're trying to adapt standard logic to unique business logic. Well, what you can do with systems like low-coding systems, you can actually keep them standard, have them interface via a standard API interface, and make your business logic in this layer of no coding. And in that way, you can actually reduce the cost of adapting very expensive standard software changes, which you don't have to. You can upgrade easier because you only have to change the interface. And you keep your business logic in your unique layer. And you can actually take it in one system, push it back in another. So that's a very corporate way of improving your IT infrastructure.
And does that make Mendix and OutSystems stand out from Betty Blocks, for instance?
Not necessarily. In that sense, Betty Blocks was younger, so the rest had more time to make more standard interfaces. The principles are the same. So whatever you could do, the only thing that could happen is that they would have to build a new interface to this new system, which one of the other ones already has in the pocket. But that's also something you pay for. The license costs are different, so it really depends on what you're doing. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, good. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much, Edgar. Edgar Kiwiet, ladies and gentlemen.